Let's finish the family. So I finally got my hands on Franklin and Valeria. These are the last members, as far as I'm concerned, of the Fantastic Four family that I need. Now, what can I say that I haven't already said about the Fantastic Four? I'll put it in the annotations. I've talked about the Fantastic Four. I love that the Fantastic Four, unlike other heroes that are perpetually stuck in the same place and always returning to the status quo, these characters were allowed to age, mature, develop, and move forward. Like, they're different. It's true that they always come back to some kind of status quo. They are family. But in the end, they had kids. 2 of them. And the kids grew up. And they're actually being raised. And there are circumstances that play out because of that. And characters like Franklin that had unbelievable, near godlike equivalent cosmic powers actually got nerfed. We're going to go ahead and say that he was nerfed because the comic book at some point had to address the fact that he was nigh invincible and there was no actual challenge that they would ever face that he couldn't just realistically snap away if he really wanted to. But they end up nerfing him. And when you take a character with that kind of power and you take all of it away, they didn't just take it away for a little while. He had to live with the fact that he no longer had that power for a while. And he had to develop as a person and go through things because of it. And it was legit interesting. And Valeria is actually my favorite of the 2 kids. Franklin was born first. We got real time with him, and we got an understanding of his character as he grew up and as time went on. But Valeria, I like her because her power is very simple. She's just a human character. She's like her dad if her dad never got powers. But in a way, and you could probably count it as a superpower if you wanted, I would argue that she's really just a regular kid that the group had. Not the group, that's an inappropriate, that's inappropriate. Not the group that Sue and Mr. Fantastic had. They just had a regular kid that is infinitely intelligent, like ridiculously so. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, she's smarter than her dad is. And that's saying something when you're talking about Richards. Because, wow. Okay? Franklin Richards. Okay? Just... it's unreal. Like, I'm sitting here going over it in my mind. And if you think about, like, Mr. Fantastic, alright? And Mr. Fantastic has done things like the Ultimate Nullifier, and he's discovered quantum zones and explored universes that we don't even understand. And, like, didn't he create a machine that allowed him to, like, literally go into heaven to retrieve Ben from the afterlife? And for a while there, when they lost their powers, he actually created duplicates of themselves so that he basically created robotic extensions that would allow them to kind of use their powers and things of that nature. And he even had to outsmart himself on multiple occasions. And, like, he's easily one of the smartest people to have ever existed. In fact, one of the things that I've had a problem with the MCU is that they went ahead with the MCU, and not that they had much choice, but they went ahead with the MCU without the Fantastic Four. And because of that, situations that they were encountering that normally Mr. Fantastic would be the one to solve those situations, he wasn't there. So we just kept giving all of these moments to Tony Stark. And Tony Stark ended up being the smartest guy basically on the planet. In fact, one could argue he was the smartest guy on the planet. I've heard some argument in the MCU that maybe Bruce Banner is supposed to be smarter than him, but I think that's really up for debate. Anyways, let's finish the family. All right, here is my entire Fantastic Four family. As, you know what? One could argue that Doctor Doom is probably supposed to be here, because if you want to get technical, Doctor Doom is the one that specifically named their daughter. He named Valeria, and on top of that, not only did he name her, but he's actually responsible, completely responsible for her birth. Reed Richards could not figure it out. He could not figure it out, and there was always the chance, in fact, there was a very big chance, that they were going to lose her. It was only Victor Von Doom, with the power play that will forever live rent-free in my mind, that he not only came in, saved their lives, helped them birth their child, guaranteed that the child made it, but then reserved the right to name her himself. And he is the one that decided that her name should be Valeria. I almost felt, I remember when I was reading it, I was like, is he going to name her Victoria? And then for the rest of forever, whenever Reed would look at his kid, whenever they had to say her name, they would have to remember that the only reason she exists at all. That's what I thought we were going. I really thought we were moving in that direction. But this is it. This is the family standing proud. You will notice that I added 2 members over here. And look, all I can say is that, Spider-Man has made out with the Thing. So, I mean, he gets a pass into the family whenever he wants it, all right? I'm just saying, once you've crossed that line, regardless of the circumstances, you are part of the family. You're invited to Thanksgiving dinner, all right? There's no way around it, all right? And in case you didn't know that was a thing, yes, there was an event that took place, a story where Spider-Man made out with the Thing. And because that is a thing, Spider-Man gets to be in the family. And if I went out of my way to buy Blue Spider-Man, you better believe he's appearing in videos next to the Fantastic Four. Because, first off, doesn't it look great? And Wolverine, how do I explain this? Wolverine go where he wanna go. Okay? We all saw the 90s series. We all grew up with it. At least people in my age bracket sure as crap did. And you don't stop Wolverine. If he's wearing blue, he gets to be here too. This is a word that I just use all the time, but I can't help but notice that in Fantastic Four videos, it feels like I'm trying to be punny. I was going to say, this is a fantastic image right here. This is fantastic. And I did not mean for it to sound the way it was going to sound, but you know what? Look at that. Now, I thought about bringing She-Hulk down here, but they have not made her yet in the blue that I would like. And I'd really like to keep this color scheme, actually, because when they do finally make her, I imagine we're going to get more of the original costume, and she's going to go with the other Fantastic Four members, which would not include these two or these two, because I don't know if the colors would match. Right now, these guys all look like they go together, and this right here, that's a dream power team right there, right? Am I wrong? Look at that. Look at that. Tell me you wouldn't read this book. Huh? Huh? Really? Tell me you wouldn't read this book. That's a dream team for me right there. You have the entire family, plus Wolverine, plus Spider-Man. Dude, I could just see Parker, Reed, Valeria hanging out, running science and things like that. I could see Wolverine going into one of his... Wolverine could be drinking buddies with the Thing. Wolverine could be drinking buddies with the Thing during that comic run. And whenever they run into certain situations and whatnot, Sue could actually step in. Because Sue is easily, I mean, we don't like to necessarily put them in cliche roles, okay? But sometimes a character fits that role, and Sue is the mother of the group. She doesn't just take care of the kids. She is the reason the Fantastic Four make it. Like, if you remove Sue from the equation, which they have done before, the family slowly starts to fall apart because she is the mother of the family. Like, this is great. I love having these two. They didn't come with too much. They came with these cool flasks that have little effects and whatnot. They came with him, and for some reason, I feel like I know him, and I cannot remember for the life of me right now who he is, who the little alien man is. I can't, it won't happen in my head right now for some reason. I thought this was cool that they gave her the little data pad and whatnot. Absolutely fantastic. The only thing I could say is she has the standard female body for the younger characters. I do like that he's tall. I like the scaling works here. Valeria is smaller. You can see her dad and everybody kind of stands above her. That's perfect. That's exactly how it should be. And I love how Franklin actually stands up and is relatively about as big, smaller in build, but about as big as his Uncle Johnny. That works for me. All of the scaling here works for me perfectly. That in mind, let's check out the last detail here. That's the Franklin face. And I like it. I can buy into that. I think it's solid, and I actually think that it works quite well. I'm into it. And then the Valeria face, which I also think works very well. Oh my, let's take that out of her hand real quick. Come on, focus in. She does have a really good face. I actually think that it works quite well. Like, look right there. Is that not almost comic book accurate? I think it is. I actually think it's very, very, very well done. Let me put the data pad back in her hand here. I feel like it completes the image, her standing by her father like this. And I like her father kind of looking over her shoulder because he's kind of... This is it for me, man. This scene right here is it for me. I might even go as far as to remake the Marvel shelf. In fact, I may invade some of the anime shelf because the anime shelf, the Marvel shelf is expanding and the anime shelf is decreasing. In fact, this we don't normally do, but we're going to go off the deal here. We're going to go up. So this is the Marvel shelf currently, and there is space, but it's starting to crowd up a bit, if we're being perfectly honest with it. And I want to start working on that in general. You could see that when I got some guys down, some guys fell over, and this is something I want to work on. But in all honesty, the anime shelf, which is mainly just some Dragon Ball Z figures, they can easily be moved to half a shelf, if not literally moved over onto something like where the side shelves are right now, and it wouldn't be that big of a deal, I don't think. And also, one or two of these anime items are actually due to leave the collection soon. Not anything too severe, but like this Goku, way back in the back there, he's kind of rare for what it's worth. I mean, rare in terms of you don't often see him in the Capsule Corps uniform, but like... it doesn't really mean anything to me, so he's probably on his way out soon. To be fair, they also came with some assorted hands, but nothing that I needed to necessarily call out or draw attention to. I didn't need to be like, oh my god, look, these extra hands. I am going to say, though, it has crossed my mind a couple of times when I go over the shelves and when I kind of redesign and move things around and whatnot. I don't know if I should be making episodes of that, I don't know. I don't know if we should do episodes with that and talk about that from time to time, about like when we need to go in and rearrange something or expand something or change something. I'm just not sure. I'm not 100% sure on that or how I feel about it one way or another. But for what it's worth, it is on my mind, so in case anybody comments or whatever that they have some video ideas they'd like to see me do in terms of the collection and collecting and things of that nature. I've also thought about doing videos specifically like this. Like, that's my Fantastic Four. And maybe do something like, these are all the Fantastic Four collection. Like, these are the things that, to me, feel like Fantastic Four that I've picked up and put together. And this isn't all of it, by the way, because I do have Doctor Doom and a couple of other things like that, so that might be a cool video. And then I thought about doing other things, too, like a Green Lantern collection, where I talk about these are all the items currently I have Green Lantern-wise. This is the Dragon Ball Z collection or whatever. Things of that nature. I think those videos might be interesting too. Just give me kind of a chance to gush about the fandom in general. Talk a little bit about why I like these items so much. How cool they are. What my favorite pieces in each collection are and things of that nature. I think those could actually be good videos too. And I'm always looking for things that aren't just coming in and doing character stuff, or how am I trying to put this? The reason my videos are a lot of me hanging out and talking to you is because people like Pixel Dan, people like Artemis Prime, Shartimus Prime, sorry, people like, oh man, all of a sudden I'm drawing a blank on so many people, and that makes me feel bad because I watch a lot of toy tubers. Like things like Toy Gains and whatnot, Destro is my spirit animal. Like there's so many different channels out there. I could name forever, I really could. If I just sat here, I bet you if I could look over at my YouTube or something like that, I have a ridiculous amount of stuff that comes across my feed that I just kind of check out. And all the time, it's character, like not character, but toy reviews. The reason I don't do toy reviews here is because I want this to be a little more. Everybody does toy reviews. And if I'm being perfectly honest, you notice I didn't worry about it this time. I just told you she has the standard smaller female body. If you are on this channel, if you are clicking on a video this old, because really these figures have been out for a while, one, either there are already 50 to 60 other possibilities, there's probably 100 other possibilities of people that have already said, look, it moves like a Marvel Legend. You don't need me to tell you what that is. You don't. You really don't. I could tell you that Spider-Man moves well. He moves, as far as I could tell, as if he is built with the first appearance Amazing 15 body. If you know what that is, if you collect Marvel Legends, if you're interested in Marvel Legends, or if you've had any Marvel Legends, you may already know that reference point, or even if you don't, you've already seen other people cover that figure more than likely. You don't need me to tell you how character moves. Every now and then I do like to point out a couple things that like catch my attention. Or if something on the figure feels weird, like if it feels off, if something is wrong, or if mine wasn't necessarily perfect, or something of that nature, I like to point that out. I like to say, hey, this is a little funny to me. But otherwise, there's really not a whole lot of reason for me to come in and be like, look, their arms move, their wrists move, look, their knees move. Like, you know that. I'm not telling you anything. I'm not explaining anything that you haven't seen before. Maybe if it's something I'm really new to and it's my first time ever kind of seeing how these specific figures work and finding what I like or dislike about them, that makes a lot of sense to me. I'd like to go in and say, hey, these guys move like this or whatever. But like most of the time, if we're going to go over, say, the DC shelf, easily 90% of it is McFarlane DC Multiverse. They move like McFarlane DC Multiverse. And if there's something that's not quite right about it, I point that out. Like we did the Batman first appearance video, and I talked about his head giving me a lot of problems. I don't like the way they did his neck. He's always looking down. And if he looks up to where he's actually like a person, like where a person has their neck and they're looking straight, then he's got a hole right here. That bothers me. I don't like it. It drives me crazy. I did the video on it if you're interested. And that's the reason these videos are the way they are. So, it makes sense that at some point I'm going to dive into a bunch of other stuff and talk about other topics as well that all still deal with this. So if you have any interest, any questions, let me know. Because I am looking to kind of expand and do more videos, and also maybe sometimes it might not be the worst idea ever to do some videos talking about, hey, I fixed this, or we moved this, or we collaborated this, or we put these together. Something like that. Anyways, guys, I'm going to get out of here.
I have spoken. Take what you will from it.